Hello and welcome to this IABM piece of curated content. I'm delighted to be joined today by Paddy Payne, Director of International Business Development at AP ENPS. Paddy, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, hi Ben, it's good to be with you. Thanks for inviting me.
So Paddy, we're here to talk about your cloud-hosted planning system called AP Playbook, which you launched a few years ago. So let's start with, can you tell us why did you launch this and what is it designed to do?
Sure, yeah, I'd be pleased to. So yeah, Playbook was launched in September 2018. And the backstory is that it's a cloud-hosted editorial planning solution. So it's for managing assignments and planning news output. And that output, whether it's for digital or social or broadcast or even print platforms. So it's a cross-platform tool. So why did we design it? Well, first of all, you rightly introduced me as AP ENPS. So my company is the Associated Press, one of the world's leading news organizations since the 1900s. And we have more than 1,000 journalists in 200 or 250 locations around the world. We're a multi-format news network with a truly global reputation. And our news output is broadly split into photo, video, text. But we realized a few years ago that we were duplicating effort and we were wasting money, frankly, not planning as well as we could. So we might have multiple people from different news teams covering the same event, and that's obviously inefficient. So we wanted to try and rationalize that. We wanted to plan better. We wanted people to communicate better. We wanted to eliminate as much of this inefficiency as we could. So we looked on the market for a planning tool, and you can find sort of tools for teams to communicate better, and you can find teams for planning a project, but we didn't find an editorial planning tool. And that was where we decided, okay, well, we'll develop this ourselves. And we could do that because AP had the in-house experience of ENPS. And I guess many of the people involved in your event will know ENPS. It's the market-leading newsroom computer system. It's been a great success story for AP for many years. It was recently recognized with an Emmy for the second time, in fact. So once a few years ago for our MOS integration expertise, and this year for innovation in newsroom development. So ENPS is still driving the broadcast news production in over 700 newsrooms around the world. But that background, that pedigree, that meant that when the AP wanted a news planning tool, they turned to this team to help develop that tool so that it was tailor-made for news. And the result of that is AP Playbook. And a final note on that, as you rightly said, it's been out for a couple of years, and I said since September 2018. So it's been deployed for around about 2.5 years. It's totally proven across many time zones, many locations, and worth saying that all AP's US election coverage last year was planned through Playbook.
Excellent. And so how does AP Playbook help to streamline how you can send people to cover a story?
Okay, well, yeah, let me explain. So as a news organization, we wanted a system which would help us plan stories and manage assignments, coordinate coverage, and minimize the duplicated effort. And we wanted journalists to be able to do this through an app or a browser. They couldn't be tied to a desk, simply not how the job works. Now, of course, most news organizations, if you like, have different and specialized production systems for producing content. So for broadcast video production, you'll have a video server architecture of some sort. You might have a MAM. Your web output may be through a CMS. You'll have social platforms and so on. So these are specialized systems for a specialized job, and we're not trying to replace those. But if you like, earlier in the workflow, there is that phase when maybe the story is breaking or the idea is coming together, and a news team may decide, well, we know there's a natural disaster, there's an earthquake happening somewhere. We need to post or tweet an alert on this story. We need to do that right now. Perhaps soon we'll have an eyewitness photo and we can post that too. On our website, our digital coverage may be a bit more in depth, and we'll have several iterations of the story there, and people may come back to it. Maybe we plan to lead our lunchtime TV news bulletin with something else. But if this natural disaster story evolves, then we'll need much more on it, and we're going to make it the main story. So how do you plan that coverage? How do you make the most of your editorial resources that are going to do it? And how do you then distribute the content to those different platforms? And of course, there's reaction on social media the whole time as well. So it's about having a blended cross-platform coverage for a news story. That's really what AP Playbook is trying to do.
Again, so Paddy, we've seen, especially over the last year, that use cases and workflows have changed at such a rapid rate, a lot more so in news than in certain other industries. But how have the use cases changed for AP Playbook since you first launched it back in 2018?
Yeah, well, it's ironic looking back, and we know the issue that has dominated most of our lives since then. But Playbook was designed, as I said, to be accessible through a browser or through an app, and that was to give journalists maximum flexibility. Of course, a year ago or a little more, the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic hit us all, and many journalists, most journalists around the world, have been locked out of their newsrooms and have been required to be mobile in one form or other, or remote. So this is an absolute gift to newsrooms, and as I said earlier, AP's own election coverage was made possible because AP Playbook, if you like, was a connection back to the virtual newsroom, back to the authorities in the newsroom, those making the editorial decisions. So that's one example of where circumstances have changed and Playbook has come into its own. It's also, Playbook has a very powerful API, and one thing that's evolved over the last couple of years is the different uses of that API. So I referred earlier to ENPS, and of course, Playbook will integrate with ENPS, but you don't have to be using ENPS to work with AP Playbook. It can integrate with other newsroom systems. It will also integrate with, for example, lots of different CMSs and other tools which maybe you've developed in-house, maybe those as well. But it's a very powerful and flexible API. So there's a couple of areas where Playbook has evolved and really come into its own.
Excellent. Okay, and then finally, Paddy, can you give us an example of some of the types of companies that use AP Playbook?
Yeah, I mean, it was developed for, as I said, a news organization. So we're certainly targeting other news agencies. They could use it as well. With our ENPS background, a lot of our broadcast customers are thinking, okay, well, this will help us streamline our coverage, not just broadcast, but the other platforms as well. So it's being used by broadcasters. We do also have a lot of digital and print news organizations who are thinking, okay, well, we can manage a range of titles. We can have editorial input across those titles and manage it through AP Playbook. And we do have there's one customer, not the biggest customer by any means, but we have an American customer called Deseret, and they use Playbook for broadcast, for social, for radio, for online, and for print. So that's proper cross-format news production. And it's been very gratifying to see people kind of grow into it, if you like. So more and more we see other organizations realizing the potential of this tool, and they've suggested ideas to us, and we're able to enable that workflow for them. So it's been very powerful, and we found that there's a lot of interest from not just the broadcast sector, which may be the main IABM audience, if you like, but from other sectors too.
Okay, Paddy, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been really interesting talking to you and hearing about the different use cases and the developments of AP Playbook.
Okay, great to talk to you, Ben. Thanks very much.